Hey everybody, what's up? Sig here. It is great to be back with you guys. We were off on a break for a little while for the past week, and all that means is that in the past 2 weeks, there is all that much more stuff that has happened in the world of Blizzard Professional Esports. So it is starting to get down to the line, actually. So, like, remember the inland tournament of the phase is BlizzCon, and this upcoming weekend is week 8. So there's actually only 3 weeks left before BlizzCon, and, like, it is a race in the West, for sure. Oh, yes, that also. Oh my gosh. But let me just start then with I guess the past weekend. And this past weekend was insane, Norcetto. There were so many upset matches this weekend. It was madness. It started off with number 2 Method. Well, sorry, I guess no, that's supposed to be number 3. Number 3 Method. The ones that were performing well at the Western Clash, sitting right under Liquid. They were playing against Monkey Menagerie, who's basically a Crucible team. And Monkey Menagerie went up 2-0 on them. Like, almost won the game. Method had to reverse sweep them to survive the Menagerie. And dude, I'm telling you, Game 5, Monkeys could have, maybe even should have, had that game. The draft that they had, like, everything from their bans to their picks, I was just like, oh my god, that is a power draft. They can win this. And it went all the way down to the end, and then just, like, falling apart at the very end. So, there was drama. And then Sorry? Well, I didn't really have any investment in that, but, like, I would have never thought that that was even possible. I would have definitely thought Method was just going to stomp Monkey Menageries out. Like, Monkey Menageries can surprise you, but, like, they'd been trending downward recently, and, like, Method was, they're trying to get their ticket to BlizzCon. I did not think this to be a series at all. I just, like, looked it up on the Upcover app, hashtag, and was like, oh my god, this is happening? What? I think I came in at like halfway through game 4 when they were tied up, and I was like, what went wrong here? And then it went onward from there, where number 5 Fnatic won over number 4 Leftovers, who Leftovers had just jumped them into the Western Clash. They beat them 3-2. And so now with this win, Fnatic has jumped Leftovers into the number 4 spot. They're both 5-5, but Fnatic is ahead on map split by 23-20 versus 20-20. So, like, this is right, like, on a razor's edge between Leftovers and Fnatic. But that was their match for the series for this phase. So if one of them winds up going, it's going to be, like, because of the outcome of this match, probably. And then, oh my god, the ultimate, the biggest upset of the entire weekend. The winless Roll20 beat Method, who had just previously struggled against the other Crucible team. They beat them 3-1. Right, so Method is in free fall after this past weekend with just a few weeks left until BlizzCon. Well, it's basically they just, gotta, like, tighten the ship back up, and that's so, okay, like, Dignitas is undefeated. Dignitas has the number 1 spot, guaranteed. And then the number 2 spot is also guaranteed in Europe. And then the number 3 spot, there's a playoff against teams 3 through, minus the bottom 2, 3 through 6, I guess. But the higher you are up in standing, the further back you play in that playoff series, right? So like, Method's probably going to be in the playoff, and if they're in the playoff, that means that it's just Dignitas and Liquid above them, and they should be able to beat anyone in the playoffs. So Method, like, still has a fair shot at getting to BlizzCon, but like, not playing like that. So yeah. But then, Norcetto, I wish I could tell you that it only happened in Europe, but it did not, sir. It also happened in North America, and it started with, number 3 Freedom beating Tempo Storm 3-1. And this was so disappointing for me to see, because the previous weekend, week 6, Tempo finally snapped the streak against Heroes Hearth and beat them. And they... Right, exactly. And they did it the best way possible, in that, like, what Tempo Storm loves to do is they love to create an early advantage, and then they love to pounce on that advantage and, like, steamroll it fast. Like, they play aggressive and they don't let up. But they struggle late game with, like, they will overcommit to something sometimes. They will go too hard, and someone winds up getting picked off out of position and dying, and now you can't win this fight, and, like, you lose the game late. And so what they did against Heroes Hearth was they were patient. They were totally happy to just, like, whatever advantage they push, okay, just, like, let that happen, and let's see what else we can do on the map. Some, like, 28, 30-plus minute games they had against Heroes Hearth. So to play that well, and then to come into Freedom and to go right back to the same thing of, like, they should have won the game and had some bad fight late in the game that just lost the whole thing. But the upswing of that, I guess, is that, like, Tempo did play the next day, and they 3-0'd LFM. So, like, they got the recovery, but Freedom the next day got put out 3-0 by number 5 Endemic. Exactly. The next day, from nowhere, getting stomped out. Right, exactly. They were the furthest of all the American teams at the Western Clash, come in and beat Tempo Storm pretty decidedly, like, with very clean play, and then just, like, whoop. Exactly. Yes. And then there was one more from the past weekend that was the Circle of Life continued, and that number 4 Octalysis came out and put down Endemic 3-1. Right, exactly. So, I actually had a note here towards the end of this, I think. Let me double check this. Where are the standings? Yeah, right now in North America, slots 1 through 4, each team is 1 win ahead of the team behind them. Going into this weekend right now. Exactly. And so, for real, and, like, I gotta give notice real quick to Octalysis, man. I'm worried. I'm worried that they are about to dark horse their way through the playoff and go to BlizzCon. Like, they've had some really strong, like, they've played against the lower end of the NA competition the past couple of weekends, but they've won in some really outlandish ways, like, with some really incredible play. And so, the other thing to remember is that, they right now are 4/5 of the team that last year was the number 1 North American team. They're just minus Glaurung, who's on Tempo right now. So, like, they're not to be, like, taken lightly for sure, but it's just, like, since barely like eking their way into the Western Clash on technicality, but then putting out Tempo Storm on day one to carry through to the wins that they've had the past few weeks. Octalysis is scary right now, man. It's exact. I don't think that you can really, or at least I won't put the play on any one person. You know, like they've. I think for the better part gotten a lot of their synergy back from having lost Psalm. Like it's still a recovery that they have to go through, but really more than anything, it's just like committing too hard to something late game that is kind of a toss-up play, like, to be honest. Like, it's a little bit too risky. And, like, you just need to, like, you have the advantage. You are ahead. Just, like, let it play out. Don't try to force it so hard. Right, but like that is like one of those tiny things that's what separates great from good is that like an attitude of calmness and keeping composure through like whatever point a game is at, just like look at the map, what do we have, what do they have, what can we do with it? Like right? Exactly. I was about to say, continuing to respect. Hey, this can work. This can blow up in our face. Let's not let this happen. Yeah, you're gonna get caught on your back foot at some point. So yeah, that is what we have missed in Heroes of the Storm. What have we missed in Overwatch League? Yes, 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 yes. Isn't that all the better though? That like it's just that much more chaotic. That like. Shots fired. Yeah. Literally put the team on his back. No, I absolutely believe that Puckett is the dude that is like right up next to your ear, just whispering shit to you, like as he's beating you. That's so wild to me that Blizzard has a guy that is like their hype guy, and that he plays it on the Xbox and not on the PC. Awesome. Yes. Oh, that's awesome. Oh my god, so they're going to do the Heroes of the Storm system now. Well, I am curious. You said that there was a little like if there was one thing that you do think they could do better, what do you think it would be? Ah, I see. I see. Okay. Fair. Well, Norcetto, if you don't mind, if I may bring out my ching ching segue, you mentioned something about Canada is coming, and I think this weekend something is coming in Overwatch. Yes, when does this start? Okay. Them boys. I was about to say, tell me, because I remember from the last one, it's only the top two. Are we favored in this? Is there some is there someone that could steal this? Oh wow, well that's nice. Excuse me. Uh huh. Yeah. Right. Who's not banned from the World Cup? Oh my god. Why can't you just be cool, man? Hmm. Mm. Do you have it on hand? Do you know when the big one is? When's USA versus Canada? Oh, is it? Wow. Whale on Austria. Yeah, so going into this weekend, there are some very worth watching games, in my opinion. So starting over in Europe, like I have already said, Dignitas is like undefeated. They already have their spot for BlizzCon locked in, and Liquid is still they're still good at number 2. But then, like I said, Method had a really bad weekend this past weekend, so Method's got to pull it together this weekend. And the most interesting game I have from, well, the two most. The first one I have is Saturday at noon Eastern, and that's Liquid versus Leftovers. And pretty much I just want to see this because, you know, I want to know, is Liquid legit? Like, do they win this match convincingly against a now number 5 team? But also, Leftovers only has this match this weekend, while Fnatic has 2. So they need to try to keep pace with Fnatic, who they're pretty much tied with, if they want to try to get higher seeding in the playoff for BlizzCon. But then the other one I have in Europe that is, I think, the game of the weekend is Fnatic versus Method, which is Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And this is going to be noteworthy because, actually, so Method's previous game is going to be against Dignitas on Saturday. So, like, they've just had this bad weekend, and now they got to go against, like, the Titans. Yeah, exactly. So after, let's be real here, losing to Dignitas, how are they going to come into this game against Fnatic? And Fnatic is going to be hungry, man, to jump them. So I think that game is going to be really good. And also, the people playing in the match are all very skilled players. So it's just going to be good Heroes of the Storm all around. Right? I mean, I'll say this: they'll have to bring it. What is the standings at this point? So Method right now is at 7-3, and Fnatic's at 5-5. So, you know, if Method loses that game, they're now at 7-4, and Method would be at 6-5. So, like, you're in another like situation where you're pretty much just like a game behind. So, like, they can't really be complacent and like drop this series against Fnatic, or it could be bad in a couple weeks. So. And then here in North America, reiterating what I said about the top 4 teams, all of them are just one win ahead of the team that's behind them. So it's like really neck and neck for the top 4. And then my Friday match, 7 Eastern, this is Octalysis versus Tempo Storm. And this is a big one for me because, as I've already said, you remember, Octalysis is who put Tempo Storm out of the Western Clash. And that was like, considering that like Octalysis had just kind of basically snuck their way in there, and Tempo should have been a favorite for the tournament, that was really surprising to see. And so this is going to be big about how does Tempo Storm reapproach this this matchup. And then especially after dropping the series to Freedom this past weekend, you can't drop to Freedom and Octalysis, or you're going to be in a really bad position. And dudes, mark my words, if Octalysis beats Tempo Storm, the next day, they, at 7 p.m., play Heroes Hearth. And they will be going into that match scary. And I can say that because, oh my god, Norcetto, breaking ass HGC news. Arthalon, the flex player for Heroes Hearth, has retired as of tonight. He just announced his retirement. 3 weeks before BlizzCon, the number 1 team's flex player The one with previous pro experience has retired, and they've now got to find someone to fill for him to try to hang on to their number one position going into BlizzCon in 3 weeks. Well, they just have to find someone, because Blizzard can't stop you from retiring. This is what Psalm did with Tempo Storm after the brawl. But when you retire, they do penalize you in that you were not eligible to participate in HGC for I think 6 months. But when you, the team, lose a player, all you can do is replace them with someone. And you can't replace them from an HGC team, so you either have to get someone from an Open Division team, which, by the way, the Open Division playoffs just ended today, so the 2 teams that are going to be playing in the Crucible in a few weeks are locked in as of today, and one of them now possibly could be losing one of their players for HHE. Or you go the Tempo Storm route, and they just picked Vin off the Grandmaster boards. Yeah, it's really crazy. He said in his announcement that he was wanting to move on to other things and didn't want this to be the only thing that he did with his life, and so he wasn't really feeling the drive for it, and so he felt that it wasn't fair to be in that position, not putting in his all and everything, and I get that and respect that, but damn man, there's no way that you just started feeling this, right? And you guys you've lost I think 1 time. Yeah, that's what I was saying with Psalm. People gave Psalm a lot of shit, and I would say still rightfully so, that he retired after the LAN tournament. So they at least Tempo has been playing with Vin for this whole phase since game 1. It's just they only had 2 or 3 weeks to find someone to replace their primary drafter, shot caller, and maybe the best player in NA. But so, yeah, with Arthalon announcing his retirement, this game against Octalysis is very much up in the air, in my opinion. Especially if they come off of a high from beating Tempo Storm again. Oh, man. There will be chaos. Yeah, and I don't have any understanding of drama necessarily so much as he was just feeling antipathy for it, I guess. That he just he didn't really have the hunger and the drive for it, which, I mean, obviously, if you're trying to, if you're getting ready for the international tournament of BlizzCon going against the best teams in the world, you've got to be bringing your A+ game, and he was saying, I don't have an A+ game that I'm bringing right now, but yeah, man, that's rocking a hard place. Right, exactly. Exactly. And right, and you would think that I have no idea what goes on behind the scenes in these things. If there was a team meeting about this, or I'm sure he told them all, but I don't know that if they were given an opportunity to be like, hey, no, man, we'd rather have B- you than look for someone to replace you. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. It's again, we'll remind everyone that this is the Cinderella team. This is the team that won their way in from the Open Division at the beginning of this year and have rocketed to literally the top of North America, having some great international performances. they've had an amazing run this year. So I think everyone just like wants to see them like finish that run, you know? Exactly. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's now, what's the, it's Wednesday, right? So I'm pretty sure actually, like, I know Heroes Hearth has a previous game, I think against LFM. I think they play Friday. Schedule. Yeah, they have the first game of the weekend in North America, 5 p.m. Friday. So, like, it's only going to be a couple of days before we find out who the sub is at the very least. And is he coming from the Open Division or is he coming from the Grandmaster boards? Well, I'm not totally sure, like, in like any particular kind of like, there is, first and foremost, there is anti-poaching laws, which is like teammate or players cannot like try to convince or draft players from other teams onto their team. Like, this has to be done through like coaches or like proper channels or such thing. But then the other thing being what I said, that you can't sign away a player from another HGC team. You can only bring in someone who's not currently in the HGC, which means like you're either just some like pub playing the game, or you're what they usually look at is an open division team, someone who is like they're competing to get into the HGC. They are already like on the semi-pro regiment of they're scrimming regularly and like should be in comms, and like there's like a certain expectation and like threshold of skill you have to be playing against these guys. And also the fact that in in the case right now, especially, and I'll look more into this for when the Crucible actually happens about the Open Division teams. I haven't been totally following the Open Division, but I do know that on the teams that are going to be playing in the Crucible, they have former HGC players on the teams, like players that got cut and then didn't get picked up by other teams after roster swaps. They drop out of the league and typically will form teams down in the Open Division to try to win their way back into the Crucible. So that's how like you'll actually just get like a former pro player getting brought back into the pro scene. Yeah. It just hurts the open division teams that get into their situation now of, well, shit, we're playing in the Crucible in 3 weeks and you just took our tank. Yes, please. Holy crap! What? Holy crap. Mm-hmm. In 2020, there's going to be 8 Chinese teams, and it's going to be its own region. Mm. Yeah. 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 Hmm. Wow. Of course. So, is there a window for this? Like, is there a close point that like rosters have to be finalized within this year? Yeah, yeah. So that's this Saturday, actually. Yeah. What division is this team in? Is this a Korean team, an American team? Mm-hmm. Awesome. True. Awesome. No, I went through everything I had. There was, I was actually looking back up. There was one other, kind of lulzy drama thing that I was going to tell you about from the previous week. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember me showing you that clip of that, Australia New Zealand game that was just like a 2 minute game because they just like base raced? Uh, Turns out Blizz put one of those teams, Aztec, the one that won it, they're on probation for a year and were fined 10% of their earnings, and the other team are disqualified for a year and forfeit all of their earnings. because apparently it might have been collusion that they agreed before the match that they were gonna do it, and like so Aztec has some like plausible deniability in this, and that they can just be like, oh no, we just like independently both decided to do this, and like we saw they went for ours, so we just committed for theirs, and we just kept going because they kept not backing to challenge us. But XD, the xylophone dudes, like they were the ones that had their chin died. And then someone else a couple of seconds after that died also. And when those guys respawned, rather than going to try to fight the other team, they just ran past them and went right back for the other thing. And so they have like no deniability in this. And like, yeah, this is, at the very least, we were not putting forth best competitive efforts. Is I think what they actually like might have defined them under, but. True. Right, and people will protest exactly because the Australian HGC team, it's one of the minor regions, and it is like notoriously underfunded and understaffed. It's apparently like a total shit show there. So like that's why like it's already not taken seriously, like the region, they say, like, and they feel like that like organizationally, like Blizzard is not really putting best efforts into the region, and that's a totally fair argument. But at the same time, like they contract you, man, and if like they feel that you're not putting out the best product, well, they're trying to market the best product, so they're not going to be so cool with that. Yeah, and that was pretty clear from the things that went down in the league over this year. There were some dumb things that these dudes did. Right, exactly. And we all know that like this is played mostly by like a particular type of person, that lives a particular lifestyle of like sheltered and antisocialness, and like these people have a tendency to lash out. But like, I mean, you're coming into big business world, and they're not so cool with that. So you're either gonna play the game by their rules or you're not. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Right, exactly. But you've mentioned this, I think, right? At least like Blizzard in like the next year about, aren't they like aren't the organizations all supposed to have on like some sort of like counselor and like exercise person? Like they're like supposed to like have like, and this the players are supposed to go to sessions about like, this is like, first of all, like this is how you establish and maintain a brand. Second of all, this is how you don't make an embarrassment of yourself in national media and embarrass your employers, and this is how you play this game and get your money. And oh my god damn it, man. You know, I totally agree. Actually, when it happened, I was wondering if we were going to talk about it or not. And I made the stupid mistake of, I saw the clip that, like, when they were live streaming it on Twitch, and, like, you hear the moment he comes in, and it's just, like, it is just fucking terror, like, after it. You people screaming. It's terrible. Right, exactly. I mean, and this is Americana, that it's only happening in America, but like at the same time, of course this was going to happen. It was only a matter of time before this happened, because again, you're putting a particular type of person frequently into these environments where these people, like, you know, they play behind a screen all the time. They're not in the company of other people, and they don't have the best control of their emotions, and they lose a game and they just freaking snap. Actually, I didn't read the article, but I saw the headline either yesterday or day before yesterday that someone that survived it is suing the people that like put on the series. So like, if nothing else, like suing these people is for sure going to make them put up security, because they're like, we don't want to get sued. It's either going to be that or not host or not having the events anymore. Like they're not going to be liable for that. Right? It is very weird to have been on both sides of that fence. This is what human development is. This is what we are supposed to do. Yeah. If anything, it's just only spilling out now more than it like had. Like it's always existed. It's always been there in the undercurrent. So I guess, well, first of all, I'll definitely be talking about what happened in the past weekend and narrowing down, because at that point we'll only have a couple of weeks left before BlizzCon and the Crucible, and it's going to be coming down to, I swear, in these last couple of weeks, there's going to be multiple like one game scenarios, like winner of this takes seeding in the region. It's going to be wild. So keeping up with all of that. Oh wow, back to back. Wow. That's pretty exciting though. It's a little exciting for me because I get to have the feeling again of like I didn't actually start watching esports until like last fall because there was a lot of I was having to work a lot of weekends for having started at the job, and so I couldn't watch football because I was at the lab and there was no televisions on in the lab. So all I could really do when I was like having to wait 2 hours between time points was watch some esports on Twitch. And it's been a pretty fun ride. So like I'm pretty excited to be like, yeah, every weekend there's gonna be some esports to watch now. Yeah, and I feel like I also like I've learned a crazy amount like since I started watching the professional stuff, and like my knowledge about the game and like theory and mechanics has become like crazy deeper from just like hearing these guys talk about how they see the game and like how to play it out fundamentally. It's been a really like personally gratifying experience. Same for me. So with that, guys, we're just gonna take off for now. And thanks so much for dropping by. As we say all the time, you can follow us both on Twitter. I tweet Norcetto's name out all the time, and you can find it in mine. You can find us both on YouTube and our Twitch channels. Get in touch with us. We'll see you guys next time.